Deep in the woods stood an old cabin. It was forgotten and alone. Vines covered its rotting wood. Broken windows looked like empty eyes. Villagers told eerie stories about the cabin. They whispered about strange lights and scary sounds. Some said it was haunted by restless spirits. No one dared to go near. One day, a brave young man named Sammy decided to explore the cabin. Sammy loved adventures. He also loved taking pictures of mysterious places. He had heard the villagers' stories, but he didn't believe them. He thought the cabin held a mystery he could solve. One night, under a full moon, Sammy entered the woods. The moonlight bathed the forest in an ethereal glow, casting a magical yet eerie atmosphere. The trees were tall and dark. They cast long, creepy shadows that seemed to dance with every rustle of the leaves. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth, mingled with the scent of pine. An owl hooted in the distance, adding to the forest's mysterious ambience. Sammy felt a shiver run down his spine. The cold night air and the eerie silence made him uneasy. Still, he kept walking, driven by a sense of purpose. He was determined to find the cabin. After what felt like hours of navigating through the dense forest, he finally saw it in the distance. The cabin stood silently in a small clearing. Its silhouette was eerie and menacing, almost as if it was watching him. The moonlight made the broken windows gleam like teeth in the darkness. Sammy took a deep breath and stepped into the clearing, his heart pounding. He raised his camera and took a picture. The flash of light seemed to startle the night, momentarily illuminating the shadows and revealing the cabin's true form. Sammy cautiously approached the cabin, his heart pounding in his chest. The forest around him was eerily silent, amplifying the sound of his footsteps. The door creaked open, as if inviting him in, its hinges groaning under the weight of years of neglect. He stepped inside. The air was heavy and cold, carrying the scent of decay and forgotten memories. Dust covered everything. Cobwebs hung from every corner, swaying gently in the draft. The only light came from the moon shining through the broken windows, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Sammy felt a presence in the room. Someone or something was watching him from the darkness. He noticed strange drawings on the wall. They seemed to be made by a child, yet they held a sinister quality, but they were dark and disturbing. They showed figures trapped in cages and strange creatures with glowing eyes, haunting his thoughts. As Sammy moved closer to examine them, he heard a whisper. His name, faint and chilling. It seemed to come from the walls themselves, as if the cabin was alive and aware of his presence. Sammy spun around, his heart pounding in his chest. The forest around him seemed to close in tighter with every breath he took. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice echoing in the silence, bouncing off the trees and disappearing into the darkness. But there was no answer, just the sound of his own breathing, heavy and labored, filling the void. He shone his flashlight around the room, the beam cutting through the darkness, but he was alone. Or was he? He felt a cold breath on his neck and something brushed past him, sending shivers down his spine. Suddenly a dark figure materialized before him, emerging from the shadows like a nightmare come to life. Its eyes glowed an eerie red, piercing through this darkness. Sammy stumbled back in terror, his mind racing. He raised his camera, hands trembling, and took a picture, hoping to capture whatever it was. The flash revealed hundreds of faces trapped within the shadow, their expressions twisted in agony. They were crying out, reaching for him, their ghostly hands stretching out from the darkness. Sammy realized the horrifying truth, his heart sinking as the reality of his situation dawned on him. He wasn't alone. He was trapped with the souls imprisoned within the cabin, their despair now his own. And now he was one of them, his fate sealed as he became part of the haunted forest. The cabin door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the trees. Sammy was left in darkness, the screams of the trapped souls echoing around him, a symphony of despair. He had become part of the cabin's terrifying secret, forever bound to its haunted legacy.